When I was a kid, I visited a science museum. There was an exhibit, a small ball inside a larger curved surface. And the thing about it was, at first it was hard to get moving. You had to push the bigger surface in a circle, awkwardly, with no guarantee anything was happening. But once the small ball found its path, something shifted. The motion started carrying itself. You weren't pushing anymore, you were just keeping it going. I didn't have a word for it then, but I do now. I think of this concept as the flywheel. My name is Vincent, and this is Present Tense Finance. And today, we're talking about momentum. What it actually costs to build it, why it's invisible while it's happening, and why most people stop right before it starts to move. I've been serious about working out at different points in my life. The first time I really committed, and I mean really committed, eating right, showing up consistently, not skipping, it took 3 to 6 months before something shifted, before I stopped getting sore and just started getting stronger. Before, the same effort that used to wreck me for 2 days just became a regular Tuesday. That phase was unglamorous. Nothing felt different for a long time. The work was real, but the return wasn't visible yet. I just had to keep pushing and trust that something was accumulating. Here's what I didn't expect. The next time I picked it back up after a gap, after life interrupted, after the streak broke, it came back fast. Week 1 or 2 and the rhythm was already there. Some of my max lifts were lower, but the confidence, the cadence, the way my body remembered how to do this, that returned almost immediately. The flywheel wasn't gone, it was just waiting. That distinction matters more than I can overstate, because most people think stopping means losing everything, starting over from zero, paying the full 3 to 6 month tax again. And that belief, that the work disappears when you stop, is part of what makes it so hard to start again. But the flywheel you built doesn't vanish. It just goes dormant. And dormant is completely different from gone. I'm building something right now. This channel, Present Tense Finance. No sales yet, no monetization, just weekly videos, a coaching framework, a product on Etsy, and a belief that the work is compounding, even when the numbers don't show it. I'm in the first build, paying the full tax. But I've been in enough gyms to know what this part feels like, and I know what comes after it. Here's where this lives in your finances. The flywheel principle shows up everywhere in money, but it's most visible and most brutal in the phase right before it kicks in. The debt payoff that feels pointless because the balance barely moves in the first few months. The savings habit that feels laughable because the number is so small. The credit score that doesn't budge for what feels like forever and then quietly crosses the threshold that changes what's available to you. None of these feel like flywheels while you're building them. They feel like effort without return, like pushing something that isn't moving. And here's what makes it harder. We live in a culture that optimizes for visible results, fast results, before and after photos, the transformation arc that fits a 60-second video. Nobody makes content about month 3 of debt payoff when the number went down by $40 and you still have $11,000 to go. But that's where the flywheel is built, in the invisible months, in the pushes that don't seem to register. The physics of it are actually on your side. Inertia works both ways. The same force that makes it hard to start is what keeps it going once it's moving. The hardest part isn't maintaining momentum. It's surviving long enough to find it. This isn't about whether the system fits you. That's a different conversation for a different video. This is about whether you're giving it enough time to move. And for anyone who built something once and stopped, who had a budget that was working and fell off, a savings habit that stuck for a while and then didn't, you are not starting from zero. The flywheel is dormant, not gone. The body remembers, the pattern remembers, week 1 or 2 back in, and you'll feel it. I'm not going to tell you to trust the process. That phrase has been used so many times it's lost most of its weight. What I will say is this: Find your evidence. Not proof that it's working, because you may not have that yet, but evidence that you're still pushing, that the inputs are happening even when the outputs are not visible. Did you make the payment? Did you show up? Did you do the thing that feeds the flywheel, even when nothing felt different afterward? That's your data. Not the balance, not the number, the fact that you pushed. Write it down somewhere. Keep a small log, not to track progress, but to remind yourself that the work is real even when the results aren't visible yet. Because the gap between input and output in a flywheel system is not failure. It's physics. It's the weight of the thing before it catches. The 1 to 5 check-in I use with every client is partly about this. Some days the honest answer is, I'm a 2 and I pushed anyway. And that 2 who pushed is doing more flywheel work than the 4 who waited to feel ready. Readiness is a myth. Momentum is built by people who showed up before they felt it. Before you go, one thing. Whatever flywheel you're building, the debt payoff, the savings habit, the financial system you keep starting and stopping, I want you to consider that it might be further along than it looks. The invisible phase is real. The compounding is real. The shift that happens somewhere in month 4 or 5 or 6, that's real too. You just can't see it from where you're standing yet. And if you've been here before, if you've built something once and stopped and thinking about starting again, remember, dormant is not gone. The flywheel remembers. Keep pushing, not because it feels good, but because that's what the physics require. And if you want help figuring out what your flywheel actually is, what you should be pushing, and how to build a system that keeps moving, even on hard days, the link to book a free 30-minute discovery call is in the description. We start where you are, feelings first, numbers second, because the hardest push is always the first one. I'll see you in the next one.